is happening, Magnus Saints? We have a couple of things for Silent Hill 2. We got a story trailer, and we have a hands-on preview. That rhymes on me to play the game. Bars! Let's check this out. Konami.
James? Honey? Did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
It's really good in 4K.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful.
Damn.
In my
Real as
restless
hell.
dreams, I see that town. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. In our special place.
Just put the gun to their head. You can't just kill someone.
Reminds me of John Candy. And that one fighter from SNK, I think.
You should see your face, too.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
This place is different from what I remember. I don't think she's here anymore.
This whole town might be best if you just get out of here.
Chris!
Yeah, you're right.
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So you are Maria.
I am. Do you want me to be?
What?
How do you know about Mary?
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
That's called a VCR, kids.
Doesn't matter who I am.
A video cassette recorder. That's what I grew up on.
I am here for you, James.
It's before DVDs or Blu-ray discs
See?
or digital downloads or streaming. They're like, oh, what? Yep. And audio had what's called CDs, right? And before that, it was cassette tapes. That's what we had. And before that was, I think they called it an 8-track. And you couldn't fast forward or rewind them. The whole thing had to be good because you had to listen to the whole thing from what I understand. All right, so now let's check out this hands-on preview. All right, this should be good. Again.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
Ever since the release of the Resident Evil 2 remake, developers have returned to the well en masse to give their classic games a new lease of life, more often than not with mixed results. From what I've seen so far, the upcoming Silent Hill 2 remake doesn't come close to hitting the heights of Resident Evil 2, a blueprint for how a great remake is made,
Damn
but it
right.
certainly feels like developer Bloober Team has made a lot of the right decisions when building on the survival horror classic's undeniable legacy, even if at times it feels a little too safe.
one arm.
I played the opening 3 hours of Silent Hill 2, and it was immediately apparent from the off that the remake gracefully captures all the important elements. An oppressive tone and straightforward game mechanics, even when the task itself is being obtuse. As with any Silent Hill game, atmosphere is king, and Silent Hill 2 immediately and consistently puts you in a state of unease.
Okay.
A thick fog surrounds the town just like in the original, but now benefits from modern lighting and volume, thanks to today's technical improvements. The streets are now filled with a new level of detail, shops are explorable, and strange sounds, cries, and groans are dynamically lurking around every corner. I can imagine it would have been incredibly tempting to layer music into the Silent Hill 2 remake, bringing the scares more in line with contemporary horror hits, but its slavish resistance is commendable, as the diegetic sounds of Silent Hill are where the game really sings, or rather drones. Every room in the Woodside apartments creates its own version of uneasy tension, subtly assaulting you with an oppressive, unearthly soundscape of pulses and organic audio.
Make sure you wear your headphones with it.
From the moment that protagonist James enters Silent Hill, the onslaught of bad vibes is present, and it never lets up for a second. Often fear is driven by anticipation, but Silent Hill 2 is all anticipation, with the sounds of the lying figures and co being ever present. In some ways, it's a difficult state of mind to be locked into. It's fair to say
they came out of nowhere
of its visual and audio game, but that's to be expected for a 2024 release. The bigger and perhaps more impactful change is perspective, with Silent Hill 2 adopting the trusty over-the-shoulder playstyle that's become a staple of the genre. What could have once been considered sacrilege for the series now serves the gameplay well, helping the unearthly combat encounters feel surprisingly familiar. Like the original, James's arsenal is limited, with the only available weapons in the section that I played being a handgun and his trusty wooden plank. Combat is certainly light and rudimentary, but Silent Hill 2 was never about that. It's serviceable in a way that complements the character's ability, although I imagine it would have been extremely tempting for Bloober Team to strap James up Rambo style, although it would have been a disservice to the character and the story it's telling. That's not to say that James doesn't have a new move in his locker though. Silent Hill 2 implements a new dodge mechanic, allowing James to quickly dart out of the way of an enemy's projectile vomit or pyramid head swinging blade. It's a simple quick shuffle, not a Dark Souls-like forward roll, but it's a tool that helped me quickly establish a swing, dodge rhythm before the lying figures threw up their guts all over me. Perhaps the biggest compliment I can give is that it's a move that feels like it always should have been in Silent Hill 2. From what I've seen so far, the story is largely faithful, and I visited all the locations I expected to in the first few hours. The opening jaunt through the streets of Silent Hill is expanded though, tasking you to solve a puzzle involving a jukebox, and forcing you to visit several of the town's locations. Along the way, there's plenty to examine further and marvel at the detail layered into this once sparse location. While purists may scoff at this addition, I feel like it's a smart move that encourages you to spend a little more time roaming in the iconic foggy streets. And it's certainly a welcome addition before you spend a large portion of the game funneled down dark hallways in a largely linear path. Fans of the original will be happy to hear that the remake doesn't hold back with its returning puzzles. Like the original, the remake scales clues based on your difficulty level. But even on the normal difficulty setting, I found some puzzles momentary head scratches that encouraged me to truly absorb my surroundings, especially after hard switching from my kill everything that moves.
I get tired of the puzzles.
Fans of the 2001 classic and the Resident Evil series know exactly what kind of
they can be fun when you're in the mood for them,
clues to solve riddles and combinations. But it felt like there was a little less signposting in Silent Hill 2 than in its peers. It's hard for me to quantify this, but all I can say is that my usual urge to brute force the puzzles was quickly replaced by a wish to legitimately solve them. Hopefully that speaks to the puzzle's design and not the pressures of the PlayStation environment. Bloober Team's decision making when rebuilding this classic has been clever, but it's not perfect. The dialogue and performances still feel a little too campy and silly for my taste, often taking me out of the super serious tone.
No, you shouldn't be here.
Unlike Resident Evil, where the campy nature is a big part of the vibe, Silent Hill in 2024 requires a subtle touch to complement the same masterful approach in atmosphere and sound design. Purists may celebrate its faithful
Kinda looked like the girl from,
lines, but I
4.
felt there was an opportunity here for
Resident
some
Evil
subtle
4.
tweaks. I only got a small taste of the dialogue though, and Silent Hill 2 isn't exactly known for long conversations, so perhaps it's not any kind of deal breaker.
You didn't love Mary anyway.
What? Hey, wait!
Another irksome inclusion is the logical but slightly tedious activity of opening countless kitchen cupboards and drawers to collect handgun ammo and healing items, similar in a way to modern games like The Last of Us. It makes sense on paper, organically placing your collectible items in realistic locations, but I can't help feel like it took me out of the atmosphere, altering my thought process from fear to loot every time I entered a new room. Maybe it says more about me than the game, but several times
that's
after
what The Last of
entering
Us
the room,
was.
I was jumped
Fear
on
and
by a
loot.
hidden mannequin because I had prioritized scouring for pickups instead of enemies. Disappointingly, from what I've seen so far of Silent Hill 2, it doesn't appear to incorporate my favourite feature the best remakes tend to have: taking your expectations based on what you know about the original and subverting them. 2002's Resident Evil Remake, which played around with the dogs jumping through the window jump scare that all fans expected, is the perfect example of how this can be expertly crafted. The approach allows for tension of a fake out and the creative space to drop new scares in where you least expect it. The Silent Hill 2 remake doesn't appear to have any real moments like
Can't
it,
wait
and
till they
ultimately, no
fully
real big swings that
remake
change the
Resident
landscape
Evil
for
1.
hardcore fans.
Can't
At
wait.
least not what I saw in the opening 3 hours. As a remake, Silent Hill 2 falls more in line with Bluepoint's faithful Shadow of the Colossus rather than Capcom's rejuvenated Resident Evil 2. It substitutes bold new swings for a slavish dedication to the original, which by no means is a bad thing, just not the radical steps some might expect. Silent Hill 2 certainly needed a fresh coat of paint.
This
and
little
a
girl,
shiny
man.
engine, and Bloober Team has provided that in spades. But everything else is an extremely faithful reimagining that mostly resists the urge to alter the successful formula of a stone cold classic. And if you like that video and you want to find out more about Silent Hill 2, then be sure to stick with IGN.
All right. I'm probably going to get it just because everyone says it's great. You know, I'm going on the history of it. I've heard about it. People said, yo, it's great. It's one of the greats. I'm going to get it. Seems like it feels like a little bit of Resident Evil and Last of Us. I like both of those. So, yeah. All right. 10 million subscribers.